Its dark silhouette loomed below, an atmosphere all but devoured by the monotone of grey, fractured again and again by the fury of the ion storms which raged within, each pulse of light a dark reminder of secrets hidden beneath. From the vantage point of the CDIV Elena, the flagship of the Coalition's 142nd Expeditionary Fleet, Admiral J. Radoslavsky surveyed the alien world, a barren wasteland devoid of life, yet intel had claimed otherwise. The low hum of the ship's engines reverberated throughout the command bridge, underscoring the tension gripping the crew, struggling to make sense of it all. Were the reports wrong, or was there something more to this anomaly? As the minutes passed, the countless voices on the bridge fell silent, one by one, replaced by the electronic symphony of consoles and monitoring stations, humming softly around the cold metallic interior, until a burst of static cracked through the intercom speakers, shattering the tense silence. All reconnaissance teams reporting successful touchdown, Admiral. No sign of opposition, reported a young ensign, her voice tinged with an air of disbelief, her gaze locked on the screen, unwavering, as her fingers danced across the keys, relaying the message further. Admiral Radoslavik offered only a slight nod in confirmation, his gaze fixed on the viewport, silent, unmoving, save for the slow tightening of his hands clasped behind his back. "Successful touchdown, huh?" Commander Hazen mused from the center of the room, observing the operations table displaying hundreds of symbols denoting the fleet. Biting his lip, his gaze shifting across the table. "Why does it feel so easy?" From across the table, Commander Mareski shot a friendly glance at Hazen. "Tempting fate again. You know we've survived worse before," quickly cracking a smile in amusement, before returning to his usual coffee. Hazen nodded slowly, chin in hand, his gaze distant for a moment before returning to his observations. Once again the ensign's voice rang out across the bridge. "Admiral, incoming transmission from the reconnaissance lead. Shall I patch him through?" Admiral Radoslavik gave a subtle hand gesture in confirmation, his gaze still locked on the planet below. "Nova Selis, huh?" he muttered coldly under his breath. The intercom speakers burst to life once more, filled with heavy static. "Admiral, this is Major Revnor. The surface appears calm, air is breathable, no immediate signs of life detected. Landing zones are secure. However, we're detecting surface-level anomalies. Cause is unclear, possibly weather-related. Recommend delaying the next phase of operations until we can verify." "How copy?" The ensign turned towards the Admiral, awaiting any sign of confirmation. He remained silent, back still turned, his gaze ever more focused. After a moment of hesitation, tightening his grasp behind his back, he gave a deliberate, slow nod. Without missing a beat, the ensign turned back to her console, tapped her headset, and responded, her voice crisp and composed. "Affirmative, Major. We are waiting on you." The comms crackled again, the transmission still riddled with static. "Affirmative. Conducting anomaly sweep." Before the bridge could be thrown into silence once more, Hazen echoed his thoughts aloud, his voice snarky and filled with sarcasm. "So are we all going to ignore the fact that our state-of-the-line sensors are being beaten by an ion storm? Last I remember, we solved that issue decades ago." Mareski, now fixated on reading intel reports, looked up, taking another sip of coffee before calmly acknowledging Hazen's comments. "It's not the first time we faced an ion storm, and not the last. Maybe the boredom is getting to you." Hazen, with a smile, replied back, "Yeah, maybe. That's their plan. To bore us to death. That we start searching for ghosts to keep ourselves entertained." Mareski looked up once again, locking eyes with Hazen, their smiles gone in mutual agreement that something was off, for the effortless succession of the campaign so far had raised a lot of questions, as there were little signs of the enemy which their leadership described as bloodthirsty and relentless. A slight nod acknowledged Hazen's thoughts, as both knew spreading panic and rumors was the last thing that was needed to be circulating across the fleet. As the minutes passed, the situation on the bridge grew increasingly tense. a quiet anticipation settling over the room once again as they awaited further updates from the surface teams. Confidence clashed with uncertainty, tempered by the eerie calm of a mission that now, by all logic, should have presented signs of resistance. The remnants of a hasty retreat, abandoned defenses, or even the static of enemy comms, but so far, nothing. A silence in stark contrast to the Coalition Defense Initiative's relentless propaganda, flooding the public sphere with gruesome reports, each claiming first-hand accounts of merciless brutality. Hundreds of reports which Mareski had spent his waking hours dissecting in near obsession after their initial string of flawless victories, as though trying to make sense of it all. Pirates and marauders, huh? Harzan's voice broke Mareski's focus. Blinking, he looked up from his datapad, slightly thrown. "Ha, you thinking out loud again?" Harzan grinned, leaning against the central table, calibrating the command module on his wrist. "Just wondering how many more times you're going to read those reports before you go insane. You've been at it for weeks. Almost as if you're paranoid." Mareski hesitated, then gave a faint smirk. "Paranoid? You're one to speak. I just worry about the ones heading down there." Harzan grinned, a slight chuckle escaping him. "I wouldn't worry. They're in good hands, given their commander overthinks everything. Especially when it's bad for his health." Mareski grinned back, conceding the point, just as a crackle of static cut across the bridge. The ensign had patched through another transmission. Major Revner's voice came through steady and measured, yet something in the cadence felt off. "Admiral, we've analyzed the anomalies. No confirmed physical presence. Likely atmospheric. Some inconsistencies, but without better equipment, we can't be sure. Ground teams report no enemy contact in the current AO. Signal is green. I repeat, signal is green." The bridge fell silent, all eyes turning towards the Admiral. "Shall we begin deployment, Admiral?" the ensign asked, voice clear, confident. Yet no response came, not even a subtle gesture. The Admiral stood motionless at the viewport, eyes unwavering from the storms below, as if the bridge, the crew, and the world itself had vanished. Harzan and Mareski looked at each other, trying to hide the concern building beneath the surface of their now stoic expressions. The ensign tried again, her voice wavering with uncertainty. "Admiral?" Still, just silence.